Hey traders, Akil here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. Thank you as always for joining me. This podcast is available 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you like what you hear with the show, do me a favor and show your approval and support the show by not only sharing this on social media, but also leaving me a rating and a review. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset. And whenever we talk about mindset, it brings me back to something that one of my trading mentors and business mentors always taught me. It was the best story I've ever heard. And it was the term winners win. And I realized that I was operating my life like that well before I heard the story, but it actually kind of put it into words. And it's something that really drives me today. It's something that the traders I work with, and really anyone I run into in general that I have a close relationship, kind of a mindset that we share and often discuss as well. And I bring that topic up today because, well, I guess let me take it back. Today was kind of a frustrating day, right? So it's Monday. I think partially it's frustrating because we're the furthest we possibly could be away from the next 2 episodes of The Last Dance, the Jordan documentary. And there's only 2 episodes left. So I think deep down I'm a little upset and angry that it's going away. I don't want it to finish, but I can't wait for it to finish. It's a weird feeling. So I think I woke up a little bit upset about that, but it was also a very busy day as well. We had a 2-hour Q&A session this morning where we got a lot of last-minute questions, so it was hard for me to kind of prep and put things into an order that is, to make it easily, what words I'm looking for? Easily taken in by the traders that I'm working with. If you guys are new to kind of learning in my mentality, right? What you teach is important, but how you teach it is more important. You can teach everything great, but if you teach it the wrong way, people aren't going to be able to digest it. So something that Jason Greystone and myself, and really all the coaches here at Tier 1, we take very seriously is not only the information that we teach. We've been doing this for a long time, so we know exactly what's important and what's not, but teaching it in a way that the traders that we work with can learn it the best and develop the best. So whenever I kind of get thrown out of that OODA loop, I guess you can say, whenever I get thrown off my game, it kind of bothers me because I take pride in teaching. I want to do things the right way. And if I feel like I wasn't able to achieve that, I kind of beat myself up. So it was 2 hours in the Q&A, then about 2 more hours on the platform, answering questions again, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just one of those draining days. And then a few hours doing tax prep, right? Finding out what type of check I need to write Uncle Sam this year. And after that, playing with the kid. And I was a little bit overwhelmed today, a little bit anxious, a little bit just, in a bad mood. And one of the things that I do to kind of mentally regain my stability is work out. So I took the bike outside, had a nice little spin, and I decided that, hey, you know what? Before listening to the new J Balvin, that's one of my favorite albums, I wanted to support my business partner and my good friend John Bomberger and his new podcast, right? A little shameless plug coming up, but he's got a new podcast. He just released it by the time you're hearing this podcast, probably about a month ago. But it's called The Associates, providing insight and inspirations for aspiring entrepreneurs. I kind of read you what the guideline is. It said, hey, this podcast is about you, my associates. We may not be in business together, but we are associated in that all of us have similar aspirations, fears, and interests. These episodes will focus a lot on people in business and their stories, as well as a variety of other things, interesting topics such as real estate, investing, politics, just a little, and community development. Along the way, we'll sprinkle some stories just about life because in the end, all the life's parts are interconnected. Our desires at the Associate Podcast is to inspire collaboration, creativity, and action. And if you guys don't know John, right, I had him on my podcast a couple years ago when we first got started, but he's going to hate me saying this, but in my opinion, he is the ideal entrepreneur, right? He was someone that dropped out of college about a semester before graduating because he had kids and he had to do the right thing or had a kid and had to do the right thing and produce income, right? Pay for the living expenses. He is someone that worked his way up the hard, slow, treacherous way through the corporate system. and eventually put himself into management, right? So all of the, aside from not graduating college, right, all of the things you're supposed to do, you get a job, you slowly work your way up after years and years and years, all that fun stuff. Eventually got basically his dream position and then had it snatched away. And it wasn't the fact that it was snatched away, but it was in the way that they did it and the disrespect they showed him afterwards. I'm not going to ruin his whole story, but essentially he said, hey, despite everything I have to do in my life, despite everything I've achieved up to this moment, despite the big family that requires my support to make it, I'm going to start anew. I'm going to ditch the salary. I'm going to ditch the car. I'm going to start anew and I'm going to go into business by myself. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to do it. And it was one of the bravest things that I've ever seen, right? I know a lot of you guys hear my story and you think my story is brave. It's a rag to riches story as well. And maybe it's because I'm humble. Is it humble to call myself humble? I don't know. But I just don't see myself as being that inspirational in comparison to someone like this, because when I went on my journey, there was really nothing to lose aside from my own self. John had everything to lose, and eventually went on to be a successful entrepreneur. And I've been bugging about doing this podcast for a while to share his story. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, whether it's real estate, whether it's trading, whether it's anything, this is going to be a good listen. Trust me, this is one of the people I go to for my insights. It's called the Associates Podcast. Check it out, by John Baumberger. But his story is a good example of the winner's win. Because I remember when he was going through this process, I was asking him, so what are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And that's the mindset that many of us need to have, right? I haven't been, I don't pay too much attention to social media. I don't pay too much attention to people whining about this and that, because I try to surround myself with positive energy, right? I block out all negative energy because that's going to do nothing but bring me down as well. And people kind of want that negative energy to suck you in so you can feel negative with them and everyone can have a pity party, right? I'm not about that, right? So I block out negative energy. I only focus on the positive. But I hear a lot of stories from my wife. I see a lot of stories from my friends about people complaining. And don't get me wrong, right? We are in a horrible time. This is still May, early May, mid-May when I'm recording this. So we're still in, the coronavirus pandemic, and unemployment rates across the world are at all-time highs, right? People are getting furloughed and laid off left and right. Businesses are closing. This is horrible, right? And I honestly feel kind of guilty when people ask how I'm doing, because I'm not doing bad. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious way, but times like this are actually good for me in the markets, right? Because the markets get a little volatile, the markets move. As traders, we know that we need movement to make money, right? The worst thing that can happen, I guess, is a stable movement where a stable market where everyone's like, we're kind of cool with how things are, and it just does nothing. That doesn't make us any money. We need kind of volatility. It doesn't matter if it's going up, down. We can take advantage of movement in the market. So it's actually been a very good time for me. But as you can imagine, it's hard telling that to people because I do care about people's feelings to a certain extent. And I don't want to, kind of pour salt in the wound when they're feeling bad. But the thing is this. So many of us are going through the same thing. So I understand if it was a specific situation where something bad happened to you and it's like, man, this stinks. But everyone's going through it, right? So is it okay if we all whine about it? No, right? Everyone's going through it. And when bad stuff happens, you have two choices, right? Either you can throw that pity party and get down on yourself, or you can start working on finding a solution. I always say this, right? You can either make excuses or find solutions. Both take the same amount of energy. In fact, I would say it takes more energy to make an excuse than it does to find a solution. And if you think about it, spending that energy making an excuse, spending energy feeling bad for yourself, what does that actually achieve, huh? Anything? No. So why are you doing it? It is an inefficient way to operate. And what you should be doing at this time, again, is saying, man, it sucks, whatever, but winners win. And I remember this was my mindset when I first got started, because I come from a place where I was laid off. I come from a place where I was on unemployment. I come from a place where I couldn't get a job to save my life. And I don't ever remember, maybe for some brief periods, I am partially human, maybe for some brief periods getting down on myself, but I never remember being negative. I always remember just saying, okay, well, how can I take the next step? What can I do? And maybe it goes back to the sports days, where in sports, if you make a bad play, guess what? The bad play is over. There's nothing you can do about it now that's going to fix the past. So all you can do is work on the future. If I dropped a touchdown pass, right, it's over. So guess what I got to do? I got to go out there and catch 2 more to make up for it. So maybe it's that mentality of I have to do more, and I have to focus so hard on the next in order to make up for the past. Maybe that formed that mentality in life, but the point is, too many people are sitting back. They're complaining about not being able to get on unemployment. You're complaining about not getting your stimulus check. You're complaining about not having your job, right? Do something, right? There are plenty of jobs open out there. Trust me, I'm in the grocery store every day. I'm at different stores probably once a week getting something for the kid or whatever the wife wants me to pick up. And every time I walk into one of these stores, whether it's I don't go to Walmart, but like a Target or something like that, or like a food store, all I hear and all I see is we're hiring. I'm talking to the cashiers there. They said they're getting paid more because they're short-staffed, right? So there are jobs that you can get. If you want to make income, it may not be an ideal job, but you can pick up work. You can pick up a check. You could pick up long hours. And during those long hours, guess what? That's the perfect time to plot your next move. I remember when I was working my 3 jobs, right? So I was in the school district working with kids with mental and behavioral health concerns. And I was, for a good part of the day, right, I was sitting in a classroom. I was sitting in like a 3rd grade classroom relearning math. Geez, math is hard. But I had lots of time because the majority of the time my kid was low maintenance for the most part. There were a few things we had to do to de-escalate things, but for the most part he was low maintenance. It was more so social interactions was his thing. Like, hey, don't say that. Hey, don't do that. So I'm in this classroom all day with nothing to do because my kid for the most part is well behaved, and it gave me all the time in the world. I had my notebook, right? I had my notebook. I was supposed to be taking notes for him, but I had my other notebook, my trading notebook as well. And I was plotting my future. How much money do I need so I can quit this job and start my trading journey? How much time should I give myself to be successful? How much money do I need to quit everything and go full-time trading, right? Obviously, I kind of that was I guess an unrealistic goal at the time, at least the time period I set out for. But I was planning all of these things. And when you guys hear the story about I quit my 3 jobs, right? I quit 2, was fired from 1, or was not renewed by 1, but I stopped working my 3 jobs. I think you're under the impression that I just woke up one day and said, I don't feel like going in today. We're gonna do this. No, this was planned out. This was planned out during the hours that I was doing stuff that I didn't want to do to make a check. Because at the end of the day, guess what? We have to live. But we don't have to live that way for our entire life, right? We have this short period of sacrifice that is going to be the prologue to your success. Use that short period of sacrifice to plan, to set yourself up, to think, to brainstorm, to move the pieces around, to stash money, whatever it may be. Give yourself a very brief period of pain so that it can catapult you into an extended, much longer period of pleasure. But it takes action to do that. It takes the right mindset where it's like, hey, I can't be upset at myself. I can't be whiny. I have to do what needs to be done. I have to focus on the future. Winners win. And it doesn't matter what happens to me, I'm going to find a way to win. You can lay me off, I'm going to win. You can evict me, I'm going to win. You can cut my hand off, I'm going to win. Find a way, and you will be unstoppable. And I see this not just in people in general. I see this a lot with traders out there, right? If you guys follow me on Twitter, I post a lot of like daily quick tips where I try to post, it's maybe like a minute clip of me saying something inspirational just to give you guys kind of some motivation throughout the day. And I know trading is a lonely business, and mentally, if you're in the bad place, it can really affect your results. So, my thought is that if I can provide something positive, maybe it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's something you needed to hear for the day that's going to get you on the right track. And if one person hears it and it's like, man, that changed my outlook on today, then boom, it was worth it. But we get so many negative responses to that. Whereas like, oh, Akil, I can't do that. Oh, it's easy to say from a successful trader, but blah, 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 blah. And if you don't have that mindset that you're going to win no matter what the costs are, why are you playing the game? I talked about the Michael Jordan documentary earlier. I just watched episodes, 7 and 8. Oh, there's only 2 more left. No, but he talked a little bit about his mindset. In fact, I did a podcast on the Michael Jordan mindset. I forgot what number it was, but it wasn't too long ago, probably late April. So check that out as well. But he was talking about what type of leader he was, and people said Michael Jordan was an a-hole. He was always on top of you. He was always yelling at you, screaming at you, pushing you. And what Michael said is that even after winning 3 championships, people came on to the Chicago Bulls like they were on a pedestal, like they earned what he earned. And he was offended by that. He said, none of you earned what I earned. None of you played on those old school 1985 Chicago Bulls teams where they were horrible and a laughingstock. None of you went through that era of getting injured, right? Michael broke his foot, I think it was, broke his ankle, getting injured, getting spanked in the playoff year after year after year. He went through all of that pain, right? All of that sacrifice before getting to the point where he won 3 championships in a row. Twice. So when these people came in, he needed to put them through the trenches. Like, you can't just come here and expect to win championships off of my coattails. It doesn't work like that. You need to earn it. And he pushed people hard, and he accepted his role. He said, you know what? My role is to push people. I'm going to be the one to tell you what to do when you don't want to do it. I'm going to be the one to push you in that right direction when you don't feel like going that way. And he always said that, he never told someone to do something that he didn't do himself. He was a leader by example, which is great. I mean, that's someone I want to play for. But it brought him to tears, man. How bad he wanted it brought him to tears. And the fact that people couldn't understand that mindset, that you want it so bad that you're willing to cry, it's kind of weird. I remember I coached track and field, and people don't see all the hard work that goes into it, on and off the track, right? Just keeping people healthy in life is a big part of coaching, and optimizing people's performances on the track is a big part of coaching as well. And I remember the first year that we got a second place trophy, right? We haven't won a championship, but a second place was kind of our big goal. And I just broke down crying after it happened. It was one of those TV movie moments, and we pulled it off and we did it. And I just broke down crying, and I don't cry. And I don't think people understand how bad we wanted it. And it's not even how bad you want it, but it's everything that you put into getting it. If you don't have that mindset right now when times are at their worst, you don't deserve success when things get better, honestly. I hate to say it. I know it sounds bad, but you don't deserve it. Success isn't just given to you. You have to earn it. You got to ask yourself, what can I do now that's going to help me later? And if you're not doing everything in your power right now to put yourself in a successful position, you don't deserve to be successful. And you can't cry and whine about it when it doesn't happen. If you're someone that is listening to this and you are taking the right actions, you're hustling hard, you're grinding, you're doing everything the right way for the right amount of time, don't lose trust. Keep at it. It will pay off, right? The only reason people fail is because they quit before they have a chance to succeed. That's the only reason. They give up. Never give up. Keep fighting. If you're consistently doing the right things that are pushing you in the right direction, eventually you will get where you want to go. I believe in that 100%. The problem is, most people don't take the right actions. Most people don't do it for the right amount of time. And it all starts with mindset. Winners win. Losers lose. Simple as that.